Good morning, students. Our topic today is sentence structure. Now, let's see, what is a sentence? Before you define what a sentence is, please take a look to these 5 groups of phrases and decide which of them is a sentence. Okay, good. So, only one group of phrases that belongs to a sentence in this group. That is, they saw a big crocodile. Okay, very good. In other words, the other 4 groups of phrases do not belong to a sentence. Why? Because they do not fulfill or they do not meet the criteria of a sentence. Okay, now, what are the criteria of a sentence? These criteria help us build the definition of a sentence. Now, what is a sentence? Okay, we can define a sentence as a group of phrases which consists of at least a noun phrase and a verb phrase. Okay, I emphasize on the use of at least because, a sentence can be composed of only a noun phrase and a verb phrase. And remember, the most important criteria of a sentence is that a sentence must have a complete meaning. If it doesn't have a complete meaning, it's not a sentence. Now, let's see the example. In the 4th group of phrases in our examples here, because we need a lot of money, you can find that this group also consists of a noun phrase and a verb phrase. Now the question is, why doesn't it belong to a sentence? Because it has no complete meaning. The meaning in this structure is not complete. Why? Because we need a lot of money. It means that this meaning needs the other clause to complete its meaning. When it stands alone, it has no complete meaning. It doesn't have a complete meaning. Okay, once again, a sentence must have at least one noun phrase and one verb phrase and must have a complete meaning. So we can see that they saw a big crocodile gives us a complete meaning of the message delivered to us. Meanwhile, on the corner of the busiest street in the city, this group or this structure doesn't have a verb phrase. The next one, the students to the museum, this is the same case. This structure also doesn't have a verb phrase. Okay, so we can define a sentence as a group of phrases which consists of at least a noun phrase and a verb phrase and which has a complete meaning. So the basic structure of a sentence is composed of NP plus FIPI or NP and FIPI, noun phrase and verb phrase. Now let's talk about sentence types. There are 4 types of sentences. The first one is simple sentence. The second one is compound sentence. The third one is complex sentence. And the last one is compound complex sentence. Now, let's talk about these types of sentences one by one. First, let's take a look at a simple sentence. The term simple, so the structure is also simple. So, simple sentence is composed of only one NP and one FIPI, or one noun phrase and one verb phrase. So the structure is simple. Sentence is NP plus FIPI. Now, these are some of the examples. Diana went to Jakarta. So you can see that Diana here is the noun phrase and went to Jakarta is a verb phrase. So they constitute a simple sentence. In the second example, the noun phrase is the boys. And then the verb phrase is are playing games. Once again, you can see that this sentence is very simple because it consists of only one NP and one VP. Okay, the other example is they are punctual. You can see here that they is the noun phrase and are punctual is a verb phrase. And once again, this sentence is also simple. One noun phrase and one verb phrase. Okay, now how is it different from compound sentence? Let's see what compound sentence is. Unlike a simple sentence, compound sentence is composed of two sets of NP-VP structure. In other words, a compound sentence is composed of two NP structures and two VP structures. And remember, this is also very important. What is it? Both the structures are independent. It means that the meaning contained in one structure does not depend on the meaning contained in the other structure. Now, we have the structure of a compound sentence is NP plus VP and then coordinate conjunction. So CJC stands for coordinate conjunction. And this conjunction is followed by the other NP and VP. This is the structure of a compound sentence. So you can see here that the sentence has two NPs and has two VPs. Okay, here are some examples. The first one is my father is a pilot and my mother is a teacher. You can see that this sentence has two NPs and two VPs. The first NP is my father and the second NP is my mother. And the first VP is a pilot and the second VP is a teacher. And the meaning of these two groups of NP-VP structure, okay, is combined or is connected by using N as the coordinate conjunction. So this is what we call as a compound sentence. So when the meanings of these two clauses or these two sets of NP-VP structure, when they are separated, when the meanings are separated, each of the structures has its own meaning. So my father is a pilot is meaningful. My mother is a teacher is also meaningful. So the meaning of my father is a pilot does not depend on the meaning of my mother is a teacher. Okay, the same meaning or the same rule also applies to the second example. So he is like his father, but his brother is like his mother. The meaning of the first NP-VP structure does not depend on the meaning of the second structure. So he is like his father is not because his brother is like his mother. No, and vice versa. His brother is like his mother. Its meaning does not depend on he is like his father. This is what we call that both structures are independent. Then when they are separated, they have their own meaning. In other words, they are still meaningful. Okay, now let's compare compound sentence with complex sentence. Complex sentence is composed of two sets of NP-VP structure. Means that the same definition with the compound sentence. Not now, what makes complex sentence different from compound sentence? In complex sentence, one of the structures is dependent in meaning contained in the other structure. It means that one of the structures cannot stand alone as a sentence. Why? Because it doesn't have a complete meaning. Okay, this is the point or the factor or the criteria that makes complex sentence different from compound sentence. Now, the structure. In the compound sentence, we use CJC or coordinate conjunction. In complex sentence, we use CJS or subordinate conjunction. So the two NP-VP structures are connected by using subordinate conjunction. Okay, now let's see the examples. The first example, why you called me when I was having my lunch? Now let's see that one of the structures or the meaning of one of the structures is dependent on the meaning of the other structure. What is it? When I was having my lunch is not meaningful when it stands alone. So when I was having my lunch, so what happened at the time? So the meaning of this structure depends on the meaning of what you called me. Okay, the second example. Sinta was absent from the class because she was sick. So the meaning of because she was sick depends on the meaning contained in Sinta was absent from the class. In other words, what makes Sinta absent from the class is because she was sick. So the meaning, one of the structures depends on the meaning of the other structure. This is what we call as a complex sentence. Okay, maybe you have been exposed to the term independent and dependent clause. So we can say that in a complex sentence, one of the clauses is dependent and the other clause is independent. And the meaning of dependent clause depends on the meaning of independent clause. That is a complex sentence. But in compound sentence, both of the clauses are independent. Their meanings are not dependent on the other clause. Okay. Now, let's see the last type of sentence, that is compound complex sentence. Suggested by its name, you can see that this sentence is a combination of compound sentence and complex sentence. So compound complex sentence is composed of at least 3 sets of NP-VP structure. When I say at least, it means that it can be 4 sets, it can be 5 sets of NP-VP structure. Okay, once again, compound complex sentence is composed of at least 3 sets of NP-VP structure. And one of the structures is dependent in meaning contained in the other structures. Why I use the term dependent here? Because one of the structures should be dependent, or one of the structures should be composed of dependent clause. Therefore, one of the structures is dependent in meaning contained in the other structures. Here you are, some of the examples. Okay, now before coming to examples, you can see the structure of compound complex sentence. You can see that sentence is composed of NP plus VP, and then we have coordinate conjunction, and we have another NP and another VP, and then followed by subordinate conjunction, and we have the other NP and VP. Okay, now we are talking about the basic or underlying structure of a sentence, because in the next meeting we are also talking about the transformational process. Okay, so you can see that the position of coordinate conjunction or subordinate conjunction can be different from what you have now in the underlying structure of a compound complex sentence. Now, let's see here the example. Okay, so you can see that I have here 3 groups of noun phrases. Okay, the first one is she, second one is she, and last one is she. Even though we have the same element of a noun phrase, but we can calculate that the number of noun phrases in this sentence as 3 noun phrases. Okay, the next one. We also have here 3 sets of verb phrase. What are they? The first one, completed her literature review, and then we have still needs to work on her method section. And then you also have she finished her methods course last semester. So you can see that we have here 3 sets of NP-VP structures. Okay, students, these are okay what you have to know about sentence. So sentence must be composed of or must consist of at least one NP-VP structure. So when a sentence has only one NP and one VP, that sentence is categorized as a simple sentence. When they have 2 sets of NP-VP structures, they belong to either complex sentence or compound sentence. When they have more than 2, 3 sets, for example, 3 sets of NP-VP structure, that sentence belongs to a compound complex sentence. I do believe that you can practice writing some sentences and try to categorize whether those sentences belong to a simple sentence or a compound sentence, a complex sentence, or a compound complex sentence. That's all about sentence, and I do hope that you can understand these materials and see you in the next meeting.